This meeting to order and welcome everyone here. Motion to approve the agenda, please. Okay, Councillor Dybel, Councillor Erickson, moving and seconding. All those in favor? Thank you very much. Adoption of the minutes of the regular council meeting held August 28th. Do we have such a motion?
Second.
Okay, Councillor Erickson, Councillor Stewart. Go to the side again.
Sure.
Okay. Okay. Questions or comments pertaining to the minutes? It would appear Jessica does a great job. All those in favor? Okay, record of the public hearing held August 28th. Motion received.
So moved.
Councillor Crop, seconded. Councillor Stewart. Okay. Questions or comments pertaining to the records? Okay, all those in favor? Contrary, motion carries. We have a delegation here tonight, Mr. Brian McKinney, who is Mr. First Blood, and he probably knows every bit of First Blood trivia. Would I be correct?
Either that or I make some stuff up.
Well, that works too, but
Whatever
it's
appeals to the
televised,
fan
so you have
base.
to be a little careful what you
Yeah.
make up here.
Whatever appeals to the fan base.
Okay, Mr. McKinney, maybe if you can install yourself within camera view here, so
Sure.
that you can promote the 35th anniversary
Okay.
of First Blood.
And perfect, the logo's facing the camera, so that's perfect, yeah.
You gotta turn around and get those big biceps.
Yeah, oh, yeah, right, yeah.
The Rambo specials.
It was you that was supposed to be wearing the tank top. I was supposed to wear the bandana.
That, I have a few rules in life, and me not wearing a tank top would be one of them.
Thank you. Well, Your Worship, through you, I was asked to come to council tonight and just provide you folks and the community a little bit of an update about a very exciting event that we have coming up in just over 3 weeks. And of course, this October, as many of you know, and perhaps maybe with some folks that don't know, it's going to mark 35 years since the release of one of the most popular Sylvester Stallone action films of all time, of course, First Blood. For those folks maybe that are watching from home and that don't know, of course, First Blood was filmed in our community during the fall and winter of 1981, and since then, thousands of fans have come back to Hope, BC, every year to relive their favorite movie moments, of course. We kicked off in 2007, I believe, Your Worship, you were present at the time to help celebrate the 25th anniversary. And of course, in 2012, we followed it up with the 30th anniversary. And of course, this October, Saturday, October 7th, is going to mark the 35th anniversary since the release of the film. As we speak right now, as far as ticket sales are concerned, fans are coming into Hope from as far away as England, Japan, Chicago, Illinois, Seattle, Washington, Banff, Alberta, and pretty well all around the province to help us celebrate. Of course, fans are coming in for that weekend. They're going to be eating in our restaurants, they're going to be staying in our motels, they're staying in our campsites, and of course they're going to be...
Sorry, excuse me. Sorry, please don't take a picture. I'm not? Okay, well, it looked like you were flashing something. No. Thank you.
And of course, hopefully, buying thousands of dollars of souvenirs while they're here. A lot of locals obviously have stories to tell. A lot of people that still live in the community that were here when they shot the film during the fall of 1981. It was during that 6 to 7 weeks that literally Hollywood took over our community. A star was born, being Hope, BC, and it was interesting because a couple of months ago I had the privilege of receiving a phone call from Academy Award winner Michael Westmore, who actually did the makeup for First Blood, and he did all the makeup for all the Rocky movies, Raging Bull. He won his Academy Award for his work in Mask with Cher. And it's not every day that you're at work and you receive a phone call from an Academy Award winner, but I did. And he indeed did tell me, he said it was Hope, BC, Canada that gave British Columbia the Hollywood North title. So to hear that from an Academy Award winner is a true testament. I mean, Vancouver can have their X-Files and they can have all their series and everything else, but we are crowned Hollywood North, and it will always be that way. We've had great community partnership involving local art, our high school arts and carpentry class, and unbelievable financial support, and by not only private citizens but businesses alike to make our event happen. Your worship, is worth noting that Rambo First Blood Tourism is the second most requested inquiry at our visitor center. The number one inquiry is the exact same reason that Sylvester Stallone had the final choice to shoot the film in our community, and that was, first of all, for the location of the Coquihalla Canyon Provincial Park, aka the Assault Tunnel, and of course, along with the mountains, the rivers, and rugged surroundings that literally thousands of people come to our community year-round to take advantage of. And so a lot of people have been asking what they can do that October long weekend. It is basically, first of all, hold back on the eyeball rolling just for a day or so, and welcome, of course, the fans that are coming into our community. I have a feeling that there's a little bit of a kind of a sort of a mood amongst the community that that there's that movie again, or there's that it was 35 years ago, it's old, we need some new fresh stuff. But I'm sure we can all testify that when we're driving down Wallace Street, we can't help but notice there's always a congregation of people over here on the corner of 3rd and Wallace. They're either taking their picture or asking, do you have their pictures taken? So we're just asking that, welcome these fans to our community. They're coming from afar, sharing a story with them if you have one. Indeed, like I said, a lot of locals have stories to share. And you know what? Get engaged, be involved, take a picture, take their camera for them and get a picture for them, and help create a memory. There'll be, I think it's important for council and the community to know that on the afternoon of October 7th and the evening Saturday, October 7th, there's nothing going to be really in the way of traffic interruption. I do want to advise everybody that I think Wallace Street in particular, in and around the Hope Theatre, is going to look a little bit different in the fact that we've got some cars that are coming that were used in the movie. We're going to have military vehicles parked along Wallace Street in and around the proximity to the Hope Theatre, bright lights, and of course, yes, lots of Rambo lookalikes, hopefully. And we've got some great prizes up for grabs for Best Dressed Rambo. We're happy to report that we are almost sold out for the first show. 320 tickets, did not last long at all. And yes, a formal invite has been sent to Mr. Stallone's agency group, and that was a couple of months ago, but we have not formally heard anything back as of yet. It's usually a popular question from fans. They want to know if he's coming. And that was quite an interesting piece of correspondence to send off, because it involved round-trip airfare and on-the-ground transportation and security. And of course, I said we'd complement it with the longest red carpet that Wallace Street has ever seen. So anyway, I haven't had an official yes back, but anyway, it was just over 3 weeks. I'm not too sure if Mr. Stallone's coming or not. But it's not necessarily that actually spurs this event. It's the energy, it's the passion, and it's the fan base that this movie generates, because it is now multi-generational. They're not all a bunch of old guys like myself. There's young and up-and-coming young Sylvester Stallone fans, and these fans are some of the most die-hard and some of the most passionate fans that we will ever see. So I welcome the community to just get be a part of the energy, have some fun, and I would welcome any questions from council should they have any.
No. How are you an old guy though?
Yeah.
We're the same age. That would be my question.
I saw you look around the room.
I think we're old now. Okay. Councilor Erickson.
So, thank you, Barry, for this here.
Right. Yeah. That's a compliment.
I knew you were there. Sorry. I had a really good experience with this Rambo movie, and I just come to Hope in '81, and my office was in the Morrison Medical Building, and their office was in the Morrison Medical Building right behind the movie guy's office.
Yeah, their headquarters were
The
there.
headquarters were there, and these guys were walking in and out all the time. And I actually treated several of the movie people. Actually,
The fans would love to know that. The fans love stories like that.
and a big policeman.
What's that?
The policeman?
Tingle.
Yeah, Brian
Sheriff,
Denny.
Sheriff, Brian.
Brian Denny?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And his daughter, and quite a few. And it was really a privilege, because we could watch all the movie going right underneath our windows.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
so-
And there are several stories like that amongst locals, and his worship was asking, we were talking about it before we started the meeting, was that there's a lot of old stories like that around the community, and And that's actually how I gather all my database for the stories that I show and tell when I'm sending, you know. My ultimate fantasy on that particular day, because I'm going to be doing, I have strange fantasy, but one of the biggest,
Keep it restricted.
one of the biggest fantasies I have is that me with a big, huge megaphone and showing 500 people around this community on that afternoon. It just gives me goosebumps. But the fan base love those types of personal testimonials. So by all means, when you see that parade of folks on Saturday afternoon, just jump in, share a story, be a part of the excitement, and be a part of the energy. It's going to be a great day and a half, and we're really excited too that we have, you've seen in your package there, we've got a really fun component added to the local arts community. They're going to have an opportunity to show off local art. So we've done an artisan call to the local artists to basically use their imagination and come up with anything. I think there's some round bowls being created. I think there's all sorts of fun things. So, the artist community are getting involved with it, so it's great exposure for them. And that's going to be going on the Sunday morning. You'll see something there that says, "Things that will make a billy goat puke." That is a famous quote from one of the characters in the movie, of course. So they're going to be serving coffee and refreshments and things that would make a billy goat puke on Sunday morning. So. It's going to be a great event. We're really looking forward to it. So,
Councillor Dodd?
Thank you. Thanks, Brian, for your hard work. You are the epitome of a hope ambassador. Like you truly are, and I just appreciate your dedication and commitment. A little crazy little sometimes, but that's what brings it to life.
Sure.
And I just want to acknowledge that publicly, that you don't look for recognition, but you are an ambassador. So thank you for doing what you're doing with this event and the other things that you've done in our community as well.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm proud to be from BC, and I'm born and raised here, and I'm going to die here, so I'm proud to be here. So.
Well, we need you on for a while, so don't plan on any time. Yeah, no, I echo Councillor Daidel's comments. You're definitely an advocate for hope, and you're, it's great that you've decided to stay in hope and, promote our community and be a blessing in our community. So
thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, very much appreciate it.
Thank you.
Good to see you. Always have something nice to say.
It's going to be a lot of fun. We're really looking forward to it. So, thank you.
And watch that profanity, like old guy comment.
Thank you.
We're only 46.
There you go.
That's awesome. All good stuff. Okay, we have just under delegations, maybe we can sneak a couple folks in here, and that would be Ms. Anna Gladu and Tammy Trick.
Shields?
Did I just say Tammy? I did. Tammy Shields, sorry. I know you since we're in grade 4, so I'm kind of time warped then. Anyways, they're here to introduce a special new person to our community. And Anna, if you could do the honors.
Sure, thanks for letting us have a little piece of delegation tonight. I'd like to introduce to you Mr. Patrick Earl. Patrick comes to us from Alberta, Three Hills, Alberta. Yeah. He is our new executive director for Advantage Hope. Tammy Shields is our outgoing executive director, but there's going to be some overlap for the next, till the end of the month. So that Patrick can sort of pick up where Tammy's left off, and he brings some great enthusiasm. So I'm sure everybody will warmly welcome Patrick to our crew.
Yes,
Well, thank you. We heard good things about you, so. Big expectations, big expectations. But no pressure.
Yeah, no pressure. So thank you for letting us have a few words, and when you see Patrick out in the community, give him a warm welcome.
Sounds very good. Thank you very much.
Great.
And we thank Tammy for her work before, and we'll continue thanking her. And we certainly appreciate everything you've done for our community and continue to do for our community, Tam.
Thanks.
And I would say I would promise you to never call you Tammy Trick again, but that probably won't happen. It probably will slip up again at some point, so I won't do that. So thanks, Ms. Shields.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, item 6A, staff reports from our Director of Corporate Services, appointments of the Board of Variance. Maybe we could get Mr. Portowski to speak to that.
Your Worship, yes, thank you very much. Unfortunately, Donna Bellingham's on vacation, and it's fully warranted, so I hope she's enjoying herself. This is a housekeeping report with recommendation. Every community under 25,000 in BC has to have their board of variance. In fact, every community. If you're larger than 25,000, the board is larger. So what we're doing is updating the appointees. We've consulted a few community members, and these members would accept nomination to the Board of Variance for a 3-year term, or until duly successed by someone new, as it were. So you can see the recommendation there is that council appoint Hillary Kennedy, Peter Robb, and Raymond Zervini to the District of Hope Board of Variance for a 3-year term or until new successors are duly appointed. In the report, the references from the Local Government Act are stated, as well as our bylaw that you've had a chance to review. So hopefully you don't have any questions or concerns regarding that, Your Worship.
Yeah, and I guess a special note there, all 3 individuals have previous council experience, so they know sort of the workings of the municipality and the challenges and opportunities we have. And it's not a very highly utilized group as a rule, but it's good to have them as it is required. So looking for a motion to that effect, please, to appoint them. Councillor Dybel, second. Councillor Meadowlark, second. Okay. All those in favor? Contrary, motion carries. Thank you. And item 6B, report from Mr. Forlosky pertaining to the Hope and Lower Canyon, Fraser Canyon Film Cooperative. Mr. Forlosky.
Yes, Your Worship. At the last council meeting, you had a delegation from them as council, and then asked if I would come back with some advice. So I have, and at this time I can't advise official endorsement per se, because staff has a few questions. However, I'd like to state that it is a laudable and a positive initiative. If you've read the report, my concerns and staff concerns deal with the operation and revenue models, because right now the permitting responsibility is nested in the municipality, but also the attraction and coordination part is also hosted by Advantage Hope. In fact, I believe it's Brian McKinney's, one of his primary responsibilities is to coordinate that. So on their webpage and on their outreach program, they go out to film communities and companies now. The concerns involve in particular how they would fund themselves other than just by selling shares, and in particular, would they see themselves partaking in the permitting process or relieving municipalities of the permitting process or working in tandem, but how exactly would they be financially stable and operate? So again, I feel this is a positive, laudable effort, especially with regards to their proposal to develop a film school and soundstage, cultural center, etc. So if it pleases council, I'll continue to work with Art Green in particular and the rest of the stakeholders in the group to get a degree of certainty and then bring this back to council for official endorsement.
Okay, sounds very good.
I do have a question for you.
Yeah.
Thank you. So it sounds like, is the duplication of what Brian currently does in his portfolio, is it a duplication of service that this cooperative is looking at doing?
Your Worship, indeed, it could be, and we currently fund Advantage Hope to undertake duties like that as part of the economic development strategy. So I just want to be clear where exactly they would fit, and again, how their business plan to be sustainable.
So again, I'm just trying to wrap my head around it. So what is it? Are they a nonprofit? Are they for profit? I guess I'm not quite understanding their purpose if we already have something that's existing that does that role already.
Your Worship, I believe Councillor Dowdell missed the last council meeting.
Yes.
It is a proposed cooperative, and in fact, I'll give her a copy of the pamphlet so she can glean some better understanding, and then I'll entertain questions certainly as I would normally. Thank you, Your Worship. I'll pass that to her after the meeting.
Okay, sounds very good. And then I guess the recommendation is that we direct staff to continue to work with the cooperative to monitor how things are going and if there's clarity with certain issues. Okay, do we have a motion to that effect? Okay, Councillor Erickson, seconder. Okay, Councilor Matlock. All those in favor? Contrary? Yeah.
So just with what you said, Twardowski, it's just at the beginning stage where I understand it. So they've got a lot of things, a lot of hoops to go through before we even can say yes or no. There's a lot to go through.
Absolutely, through you, your worship, and again, staff certainly, I'm sure as council does, views this as a very potentially beneficial initiative, so everyone's looking to a yes to make it fit.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, mayor and councilors' reports, we'll keep her reasonably brief here. I'd just like to thank and acknowledge the Brigade Days crew, and the motorsports crew, and all the different groups that were involved in making Brigade Days another successful event. We did get the much needed rain, but it was a little inconvenient timing. But the reality is, I think it was still a very good success, and everyone that partook had a good time. So special acknowledgement there, and thanks to President McDonald for inviting me to partake in the festivities. I just attended. Actually, I cut it a little short, unfortunately, because I had to come to the meeting here on time. The local Anglican Church has selected and installed a new reverend, and so Miranda Sutherland has been selected to be the new reverend, and so the festivities were going on as I left. They started at 6, so they were still well underway, 1:45, 10:02, so apologize for leaving there early. But it was nice that the district was invited, and they even prayed for us as a community, which is definitely not a waste of time. We did a lot of that. And it was nice to see the full faith community from all different backgrounds were there. So I think they invited quite a few folks from different churches and different community groups and so on. So well-supported activity. That was very good. Now the other one I wanted to bring up, and this is kind of a bit of a heavy note, I would say, but I think we can all do something in this regard to spread the word on how dangerous this actually is. I know in the last few weeks, a number of people in the Fraser Valley, and I believe a couple in Hope, have died of fentanyl overdoses. And arguably some of these folks are, or were, I guess it'd be in the past tense, unfortunately, are recreational users. So folks that you would not classify as drug addicts, just people that, for whatever reason, use drugs to escape whatever, I guess, without being insensitive to the situation. But I think if any of us have friends, family, neighbors, what have you, who we know partake in these kinds of things on occasion, you know, we have to remind them that there is nothing recreational about drug use, and that drugs of all kinds can contain fentanyl. And I know there's a couple of local passings here which were very unexpected, because these folks were not considered, you know, addicts per se, but just folks that maybe partied a little hard on occasion. So I think if any of us, I think we all know folks that maybe party a little too much, and just encourage them to not do that anymore, because the bottom line is it's probably attempted suicide every time you do it, because it's just not something that is safe, appropriate, and can be a very life-shortening experience. So I just thought I felt compelled to say that, because there's sort of drug use in society nowadays is seen as less risky in many ways than it used to 20 years ago, because it's a little more mainstream for whatever reason. But I still think it's more dangerous than it's ever been, and it's something we all have to reinforce each other and make sure that no one we know gets involved in that. So that was a bit of a heavy one, considering the other two. But maybe under councillors' reports, we'll start with Councillor Dybel. And Councillor Smith sends his regrets. He's having, I guess, he's taking care of his family tonight. They're feeling a little under the weather, so for whatever reason, so he's doing the appropriate family thing, taking care of his family. So anyways, that's why he's not here. He'd love to be here, but I have to set that as a priority tonight. So Councillor Dybel, floor is yours.
Really nothing to report, other than I did attend the unveiling of a carving at Teltiata Campground in August. And that carving represents a story, and I don't want to misrepresent it, but I would encourage folks to go to the campground and see the carving. But it does represent back in the late 1800s, early 1900s, where trading happened on the Fraser River, there was a fellow who would come and he would steal the First Nation boys. And there was some boys that specifically are Chihuahua young boys who were taken down into the San Francisco area. And I'm not sure used for whatever purposes, but there's been some research, some history that's been uncovered that recognizes that there has been connection back to Chihuahua First Nation. They brought a carver in who designed a carving, worked with the local students from the school to develop this carving, and the carving was unveiled. It was quite a significant event at the campsite. MP Straw was there, and a lot of dignitaries within the First Nation community recognizing the story that needs to be told around the lost boys, that we really don't know a lot of what has happened within First Nation communities, and slowly it's being uncovered. So I was pleased to have attended, and I think that it builds solid relationships with our First Nation partners in recognizing the trauma of what they have gone through historically through colonization. So that, and this summer was sort of family time and sort of regrouping for the year. So I look forward to the final year on council as we're entering into our fourth and last year on council. Some folks will continue to run. I do know that I will not run in the next election, so I make that publicly known at this time, but certainly hope the best for the community.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Devlin. Councillor Stewart.
Okay, thank you. So I attended the Purple Lights meeting this morning. They're kicking off on October 2nd between 6 and 7 in Memorial Park. That is confirmed as the kickoff date. They will be unveiling a new Purple Lights addition to our community, and that should be great for everyone to attend. It's getting to crunch time now, and what they'd like to see is people start thinking about ways, maybe through their business or through their organizations, where they can also share the Purple Light story and think of different ways you could get involved. If anyone is interested in volunteering for either like the pancake breakfast they're going to have on October 22nd, or any of the other events that are going on through the month of October, please contact the Rewrite Society or look at the Vol Inspire website to see if there's a way that you could contribute to Purple Lights. I attended a task force meeting today here at the District of Hope. Also attended the unveiling of the carving on 6th Avenue, just on the Canyon Cable side. Is that ever looking nice? And I look forward to the finishing of that side of the road. It looks fantastic. And also, I took the bus. So this is, this is very exciting for me because I have waited and waited. I don't know, everyone knows I don't drive. I haven't driven since 1995. And I live in Silver Creek. So in the beginning when I lost my license, my husband's idea of a solution was to get me a bike with a trailer on the back so I could put 2 kids in this trailer. I would ride them over Richmond Hill to the grocery store, purchase groceries, and then ride it back while I was 6 months pregnant. So
I appreciated a fit woman.
you did, yes. So I'm here to say hallelujah, we have a bus, and I took the bus this morning. The driver was fantastic. There's a little bit of fear with being visually impaired, where are the stairs, what does the bus look like on the inside, is there a chair there? She was fantastic, and even when we pushed the little yellow button, there was no one else on the bus, and she was going to stop anyway, but she said just practice, just in case. So I'm really excited. Everybody just try it out. A couple of the ratepayers have agreed to take the bus the entire route to Agassiz, and then transfer and go to Harrison and come back with me so that I can see the whole route, which is pretty exciting. If you want to come, I'll let you know the day. We can have a day at Harrison. Yeah, and then maybe it's something in Memorial Park, we could celebrate. But I'm encouraging people, please support the bus. It's a godsend for people who don't drive. So that's my piece for today.
I think there was some genuine excitement there.
I'm excited.
A lot of that makes some money. Yeah, no, it's gonna be a blessing in a minute,
So
so.
we sell tickets here too, so people,
So you don't drop your quarter, I dropped my quarter just before the bus arrived.
the public can get passes at the district office.
Good point, yeah, that's a good point.
Yes, and the Ritz Center, and there's one more location. What we call it.
Online.
Pardon?
You can purchase tickets online.
Online.
Yeah, online as well, yes. Yeah, and special thanks to Mr. Forlowski for working with the regional staff and BC Transit to set it all up, because
Absolutely.
that bus runs smoothly now, but to get it going was a little different. There was a lot of work required for everyone, so it's good, and I think it's going to be a blessing to our community for sure. Councilor Miller.
Thank you. I apologize for attending late. There was a bush fire out on, or grass fire out on the highway between exit 170 and 168, so just cleaning up from that and trying to get here as fast as I could, but community safe.
Yeah, it's good.
So yeah, I just thought I'd mention Brigade Days. It was a great weekend. Of course, I'm involved with it in many ways with the motorsports and then with the Lions Club and the beer garden. But I thought it was a great weekend, very well organized. It's a very small group of volunteers that makes that whole thing happen. You know, you got a 20-team baseball tournament running, the motorsports, of course, the rides. They had so much new things there too, like the pony rides and things like that. The trade show, it was well organized. So I thought, gotta give those guys props where it's due. So that was my weekend for sure, so it's still fresh in my mind. On Wednesday, I'll be heading up to Quesnel and Barkerville for the Community Futures Conference. I'll be going up there with Victor Smith. So that's a good time. They have some sessions and lots of networking with people in other communities to hear what they do there. It's kind of like a UBCM, but for Community Futures. And then, of course, I'll be attending the UBCM in a couple weeks as well. One thing I forgot to bring up at the last meeting that I wanted to is I think Dick Gardner sent everybody an email with an idea that he had about getting the arts community involved in the garbage cans and designing some sort of artwork to go on them. I've seen that done in a lot of other communities, and it's, you know, a nice way of showcasing local artists in a respectful way. And I was wondering if the district had a way of dealing directly with the arts groups to sort of come up with a, you know, like a design, and then maybe they could get printed on a wrap and put on, that could be taken off and changed from time to time, or if graffiti, they could take it off, and just something to spruce up the garbage dumpsters or the garbage cans around the parks. Anyway, I'll leave that with staff. If it's something that can be done, I think it would be great, and I would support that. That's all I have.
Makes good sense. Councilor Erickson.
Yeah, thanks. I attended a ratepayers meeting this month, and after all the discussion, thing I came out of it with is they said they'd be willing to offer their services for the referendum, helping out the referendum if the town needed it or not. So I thought that would be something that could save the town some money, or some time with staffing. They offered that. Then I attended 2 of the meetings of the Aggressive Panhandling Task Force, which was great discussion going on. I think it's going to lead to some great things in the future. That's all I have to report.
Okay, thank you. Councilor Crop.
Thank you. Just like to personally welcome Patrick. Thank you for coming to Hope, and a new resident is always welcome, and we like to see some new ideas coming forward from you for our community to bloom and prosper. So we do certainly look forward to the years to come. Thank you. I'm sure it was a rigorous interview process, so that's very good. We have some pretty knowledgeable people sitting around the table, so I know that they probably drilled you to death. But you're here, so that's a good thing. So thanks for everyone that sat on that committee as well. Just like to say that I'm very pleased to announce that my family that's in Texas is safe. And I know there's quite a few people actually that I've heard from in the last little while that have family and from Hope, and it's been quite an ordeal. It touches everyone all around the world, and it's been quite traumatic. Some of the neighbors haven't made it and things like that, so it's been quite a bad time for them there. So our hearts definitely go out to them there. So we've been kind of focused on that recently. Just like to also encourage everybody to volunteer. Like we've heard tonight once again that there's a small group of people that do this volunteering. Brian McKinney, he's not only an ambassador, I think he must be famous all over British Columbia for how much stuff he does and how well he promotes Hope, and the Fraser Canyon as well. So, but you know, everybody gets a little bit tired from time to time, and it's nice to see newcomers put their best foot forward and really dig in. And if you don't know what to do, go and ask. Go to the Chamber of Commerce, go to the Advantage Hope, go come to the district and ask. There's so many people and groups that are out there that would love to have you on board. It's a great way of meeting people as well. So I really, really encourage that, and I just really appreciate all the effort that goes into these events, because I do know personally how much effort it takes, and people have lives and families and full-time jobs, and yet they're still going out and doing all this other stuff. So big thank you to everyone. Great job on Brigade Days. Sorry it rained on you guys on your concert night, I hear, but apparently everybody was pretty happy anyway, so that was good. Also the cleanup was well done. I went and had my usual walk around after Brigade Days, and boy, you guys sure picked up fast and got a lot of stuff all cleaned up that was pretty messy there for a while, so it was really well done. So kudos to everyone. My usual Park Street Manor, there's always you know, 1 or 2 vacancies there, so if anybody knows someone that's downsizing and would like kind of a nice family safe environment to take that next step and be well fed and looked after and have lots of little programs going on, the Park Street Manor is certainly the place to be. And that's about all I have right now.
Thank you, Councilor Crowe. Very much appreciated. Okay, item 9A, permissive tax exemption bylaw 1401/2017. Report from Mr. Cordes.
I am going to recuse myself as a conflict.
Okay.
Night, everyone.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, Mr. Cordes, if you could report on this, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. Before you is a permissive tax exemption bylaw, number 1401. A little background information, the community charter allows for municipalities to have permissive tax exemption bylaws for organizations that meet the criteria set out in the charter. Most notably of these types are nonprofit organizations, societies, worship groups, things of that nature. The district currently has 2 existing permissive tax exemption bylaws. One bylaw is for, right here, 1355, which is 2014 to 2019. That is for all societies or organizations that aren't dealing with places of worship. And the other bylaw, number 1356, goes from 2015 to 2024, and that's the bylaw that contains all the places of worship in the district. Per the permissive tax exemption policy that the district has, it sets out all the conditions for the applicants, and also it requires us to advertise, which we did in June, and we have a July 31st deadline for the applicants to submit their applications, which are attached to the policy when they pick up the package. This year, we have received 3 applications, one from Hope Community Service Society, one from Hope and Area Transition Society, and the Vancouver Soaring Society. I've reviewed their applications in conjunction with the policy, and they meet the conditions of the policy. I've also spoken to BC Assessment on each of the applications in discussion with BC Assessment as far as the classification of their property and whether they meet their criteria, and in all 3 cases they do. What I have proposed in this bylaw is that we create another permissive exemption bylaw, but only for the years 2018 and 2019, as these 3 applications are sort of under the category of nonprofit societies. So that bylaw, or this bylaw, 1401, would expire in 2019, along with the other one, 1356. So therefore, in July of 2019, the 5 or 6 that are on the other bylaw and these 3 would all have to reapply and come before council in the new bylaw. And the other bylaw would still run its course until 2024 for all the places of worship. So what the recommendation is here before you tonight is that the District of Hope 2018-2019 permissive tax exemption bylaw under 1401 2017 be read a first, second, and third time. And should that happen tonight, then we are required to advertise those exemptions in the Hope Stand for 2 consecutive weeks, which would start the week after next. And this has to be in BC Assessment's hands in order for this to come and take effect for next year's tax season by October 31st.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Cordes. Sounds pretty good. Councillor Erickson moving the motion.
I'll second that.
Councillor Croft seconding. Sounds like a smooth way to go. Questions or comments? All those in favor? Contrary? Motion carries. Thank you. Item 9B, zoning amendment bylaw 1395. Recommendation of District of Hope zoning amendment bylaw 1395-2017 be adopted in order to rezone the properties legally described at 20959 to 21002 Swallow Place and 65563 to 65570 Mount Ash Drive from single-family residential RS1 zone to single-family residential with secondary suite zone RS1 T. So motion to that effect, please.
So moved.
Councillor Croft moving. Is there a seconder? Councillor Erickson seconding. Questions or comments pertaining to the motion? Okay, Councillor Erickson.
I have a question regarding this. When we do the zoning changes here from RS1 to RS1T, do the people that change it and have a rental suite in the basement, are they taxed differently than if you just had RS1 because they have a secondary suite? And are they fee different for the water and sewer? I don't know, is that, because we've been doing quite a bit of this.
Your worship, I believe the taxes, it's a BC assessment question because they look at the property as a whole to say how much revenue can be generated, et cetera, what's the property worth. Maybe you want to augment that?
Yes, well, BC Assessment will just base it on the improvements of the secondary suite or whatever, based on construction. So that would just be a regular BC Assessment change in assessments based on the value of the property. As for the utilities, I would imagine that we get the information so that the suite would be charged additionally for the water and sewer.
So if this development, just say this development only put in 10 of the 26, whatever's in here, would all of them be charged differently because the zoning in that area is different?
Well,
or is it because of the building permits? Is it the way the building permit is
well,
designed?
I'm not part of the planning department, but I'm guessing if they do actually have a secondary suite as per the building permits, and that information would also be passed on to BC assessment, the property would still be assessed on the value of that, but it gives us a trigger through our building department to ensure that they're charged, you know, an initial water and sewer charge.
I guess.
But if they don't actually have the physical suite, I mean, it could be zoned for a suite, but if they don't physically construct it, then
The taxes.
the taxes are still based on their assessment, but we wouldn't get additional revenue for the utility hookup.
So just to make it clear, so if it's an RS1, say the taxes are a certain amount, BC assessment tax. If it's RS1T, everybody in that area that has RS1T, they'll still be be taxed at the same level as the RS1. They wouldn't see any change in the taxation.
Well,
Until they put the secondary suite in.
yeah, like BC assessment doesn't assess properties based on zoning. It's based on the value of the land and the value of the improvements. So, you know, whether it's a RS1 or an RS2, where there's a duplex, I mean, it all depends on the value of the building.
Yeah, because I had
So zoning doesn't affect assessment,
okay. So
strictly what is on that property.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Motion is on the table. All those in favor? Contrary, motion carries. Item C, zoning amendment bylaw 1396, 2017. That District of Hope zoning amendment bylaw 1396, 2017 be adopted in order to rezone the property legally described as 20600 Riverview Drive from a single-family residential zone, RS1 zone, to single-family residential with secondary zone. So if that is the wish of council, okay, Councillor Medlock. Okay, Councillor Medlock, Councillor Daigle, moving and seconding. All those in favor? Yep.
Yeah, okay, just quick comment on this bylaw is referring to the second phase of their development. So the subdivision plan hasn't happened yet, and I'm still in favor of supporting the rezoning, because I understand how staff will come back with the subdivision plan at that point. A lot of the concerns that were brought up at the public hearing will have an opportunity to be addressed. But I still agree with the RS1T rezoning on that entire parcel.
Okay, sounds very good. And the motion already passed, so we're good. Item D, zoning amendment bylaw 1402, 2017. Recommendation that District of Hope zoning amendment bylaw 1402, 2017 be given first and second reading in order to rezone the property at 629 Old Hope Princeton Way from neighborhood public house zone to highway commercial zone C2, and further that the public be notified in accordance with the District of Hope application procedures and public hearing information meeting procedural bylaw number 1393, Local Government Act and the Community Charter. Motion to that effect, please. Okay, Councillor Stewart moving. And do you have a second? Okay, Councillor Medlock seconding, and maybe Mr. Forlowski speaking to the motion.
Yes, good evening, Your Worship Council. We have a representative from the proponent here, Mr. Rob Pellegrino, but just for some background here, this is talking about the old Gold Rush pub site. So it had been rezoned to C4 to allow it earlier to operate as a neighborhood public house. However, the applicant wishes to revert back to C2 highway commercial, and as you can see from the attached bylaw and policy, it allows for a much wider scope of use. In fact, it makes the piece of property, quite frankly, more valuable. And the plans are, and I would ask Your Worship if you'd feel so free to ask Rob a question or two, but they currently look to construct a gas station, a convenience store, and a drive-through restaurant.
Mr. Pellegrino, would you like to add anything to that?
No, just well, I guess I do. Basically, the property was originally C2 zone when there wasn't an actual, there was a need for a public house rezoning for the property. Now, we don't usually see more pubs being built as it's more antiquated than the new liquor laws that are available right now. So what they're planning on doing is alleviating, you know, some of the problems that are already with the fast food restaurants that are out there right now, as far as the high workload and traffic flow that goes through that. So that's their main idea, is to actually get another fast food restaurant.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sounds good. Councillor Crop?
Through you, Mr. Mayor. So, thanks for coming, Rob. Exciting to get the rezoning through and all of that stuff, and then see some action happening there. Just one question, I guess. Like, is it gonna be done in phases, do you think, if this goes through?
My understanding from the potential developers is that they would like to develop it all at once as one full plan, bring it straight to council and bring it straight to the highways for access and get it approved straight away.
Okay, and thank you very much.
More jobs, that's what we
Yeah,
have.
exciting.
Okay, motion's on the table. All those in favor? Contrary, motion carries, thank you. Item 10A, correspondence filing, motion received.
So moved.
Okay. Councillor Crop, moving, Councillor Stewart, seconding. Questions or comments? All those in favor? Okay. Question period for items relevant to the agenda. Hello? Yes, Ms. Simons.
Are we allowed to bring up, because somebody mentioned the referendum, I had written to all of you, I received a response from Councillor Dybel, Councillor Stewart, and from Scott Medlock about changing or considering changing the venue. Are we allowed to talk about that, or does that?
I guess we could, but I think the venue has been decided. I think that's kind of what I got out of it. District Hall is a good, convenient place to go to, and it's a friendly place. Staff is based here, so it makes a lot of sense. I don't think anyone will be complaining about it either. So, and there's also opportunity. I spoke with Ms. Bellingham about for folks if they have mobility problems, that we can always do a sort of you know, serve up front kind of thing. So if someone checks in, gives us a call or what have you, and says, "Hey, I'm in my van. I need mobility is a bit of an issue." We can, you know, staff could go outside and make sure that they're properly dealt with outside, so that there's no issue that way. So, yeah. So I think that should keep everyone pretty happy. Councilor Medlock.
Yeah, I initially agreed that the schools were a good location, but after learning that there'd be an opportunity, the location of schools mostly based on accessibility was the concern that I had and agreed with. But after learning that we would be willing to even go out into their parking lot or into the front lobby to help somebody, I thought that was a good idea. I still want to keep the costs of everything as minimal as possible. Every other election, municipal election, that's happened in this room as well, without any concerns there. I would hope that we'd actually see a larger turnout, but I know it'll probably be sporadic throughout the day, and I don't think it'll be overwhelming for staff to have to go outside if need be. So I'm okay with all of that. I do want to make the point though that if that is the case, or that is the case, so it's not if, it is, if we could communicate that largely as well, to make sure that the public is aware that there is an opportunity for them to not have to come into the building if they can't, or at least we'll meet them at the front entrance, lower lobby there, to deal with that concern. That way I think it'll bring more people out. That's the idea.
And this is obviously everyone's district hall, so we're all equal shareholders in this building, so we're all welcome to use it. So should be a good spot for the opinion poll. Okay, so we have a couple of meeting announcements here. We have a special meeting of council Wednesday, September 20th, 7:45 a.m. That's going to be right here, nice and early. And then we have one Tuesday, October 10th at 7 p.m. Tuesday after Thanksgiving. So I'll be lethargic from eating turkey after that day anyway, so. And Randall, yeah, and Randall. Okay, motion to adjourn, please.
News done.
We have a motion to adjourn?
Yes.
Okay. Second.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor? Thank you.